Morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I have a guest for us today, Shabnam Naz Ansari, and she is a speaker, manifestation expert, and life coach. And she's going to talk to us all about this nonprofit that she has founded. It's Volunteer Well, and I'm happy to welcome her to the show. So, Shabnam, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself, and we'll dive right into the questions. And I'm excited to talk to you.
Sure. My name is Shabnam Ansari. I am the founder and the executive director of a federally registered charity by the name of Volunteer Well. I'm also the founder of a life coaching business by the name of Dewdrop Coaching. As a profession, I'm a speaker, a manifestation expert, a social entrepreneur, empowerment program facilitator. But at the heart of everything that I do, I'm a champion of radical generosity and unity consciousness.
Interesting. And one thing that's really stood out to me is this idea of manifestation experts, and just open it up. The discussion is this manifestation expert, what it is, and we'll dive right into the questions that arise from it.
So in terms of being a manifestation expert, through my lived experience, I have learned that life that we are living in is so simple. It's simple in every possible way. And it boils down to the concept of unity consciousness and harnessing the power of our subconscious mind. And this is strongly supported by quantum physics. So if you look at the basic science of quantum physics, it is based on three basic rules. The first rule is that everything is energy at its very basic root. So quantum is nothing but energy. E is equal to mc squared is Einstein. I hope, because you are a doctor by profession, you would understand quantum physics better than I can explain it, right? So that is the first law of quantum physics. The second is in terms of that everything is connected to each other. So quantums are basically interconnected. And from that particular aspect, I am connected to you and you are connected to everyone else and everything else, not just in the planet Earth, but everything else in the universe. That is the second law. The third law of quantum physics is that when the scientists were observing the quantums, just by the act of observation changes their behavior. So we can change our lives by changing our thoughts. Whatever we observe can be changed. And that is the root of the manifestation that I teach during my coaching or my speaker session. And I connect everything to the concept of unity consciousness, the concept of the higher intelligence.
Yeah, interesting. So with this law of manifestation, what are the key mindsets? Because I know you talked about the rules and the laws. Like, how does this look in real life? Like, what mindsets allow me to manifest my desires and my hopes and my dreams?
Yes. So whenever people want to have their wishes fulfilled, or whenever people are looking for their desires in order to manifest their desires, they're looking for things that are external to them, that are in the environment. Whereas we need to realize that whatever is our reality is a manifestation of our thoughts and our behaviors and our patterns. And whatever our thoughts are, they get fixed by the age of 30, 35. So by the year 30, 35, by the time that you're 30, 35 years old, your thoughts, your behaviors, your patterns are completely fixed because everything is circular in nature. Your thoughts are responsible for your actions and your behaviors, and then they circle back to your belief system. And then it is a continuous cycle of those thoughts reflecting into your actions and behaviors and approaches and your beliefs. And that is what is creating your current reality. If we want the future reality to be different than what we are, we have to do the inner work. We have to focus on the quantums. We have to focus on the thoughts. And so something that has been fixed over last 30, 35 years, it's not easy to retransform it. So when you look at the concept of transformation, right, it is something that people just use it. But in terms of the very basic root of the word, transform means beyond the form. it means that whatever you're seeing as the face of it, it's just illusion. You have to dig deeper. You have to go deeper. You have to work on your thoughts. You have to transform your thoughts. And it takes at least minimum of 6 to 8 weeks of internal work, of retransformation in order to create that future reality.
Interesting. And so when you talk about work, what type of work is it? Is it meditation? I know you talked about energetic work, which is interesting as well. My question is, for example, you talk about beliefs and thoughts, and for example, these stories and these patterns, and how do you manage the stories and patterns when they get triggered by external cues that trigger or reinforce those old beliefs and stories? How do you break free of that?
Yes, because what's happening is that our thoughts are creating that reality, right?
Yeah.
And when that reality is coming back to us, we are thinking as if we are a victim of an external environment, whereas we have the free will, we have the control. We are not the victim, we are the heroes here. We are the writer of our own destiny in that respect, right? So when we are in a certain reality, the reason why we are in that reality is because we have attracted that reality to our life. We are the ones who have written this reality because of our thoughts. So at every point of time, I'll give you one example. For instance, and again, it's something that is a recent example, and you might relate to it because obviously whatever has happened recently in the United States, I have talked to so many people, and we, even as a part of North American side of the world, we are equally impacted by whatever is happening. So there are two sides of looking at this. One side is that, oh my God, why is this happening? Why is this happening to us? Another side is that we are the one who created this reality. We are the one who did what we did, either by going for this or by remaining silent,
Mm.
or by not using our right, our free will. So when you are silent, when you're not acting, you're also becoming a part of the reality that you do not want. So one way of looking at this, that we are a victim of this reality. And another way of looking at this, that this is the reality that we created. How can we change it for the future? And I think we have gone into the side of us on the manifestation expert side. But before me being a manifestation expert, or at the root of me being a manifestation expert, I am the champion of unity consciousness and radical generosity. And the concepts are very simple. We look at life, and we look at life in terms of making it very complicated. And the reason why I would highlight that is I would bring in the charity. So the charity that I founded is a baby charity. It was founded in March of 2022 as a federally registered Canadian charity. And its mandate is to address 3 issues. And the 3 issues are, the first issue is that whenever people volunteer, they volunteer to a nonprofit. And whenever people seek help, they seek help from a nonprofit, with the result that those who are volunteering and those who are seeking help, they remain disconnected from each other. And we as a society, or as a humanity, are putting too much reliance on the nonprofit sector. And it's because of this that we see increasing gap between demand and supply of charitable resources. So what we are doing as a charity, we are connecting the givers with the receivers. And givers as givers of acts of kindness, the concept of generosity. Receivers as the promoting of receiving as an important, in fact, more significant part of generosity rather than giving. So this is what we're doing. We have created a generosity hub. And that generosity hub is to give a commit act of kindness to anyone living around you, or to ask for help from anyone around you. The second issue that we are addressing through the charity is that whenever people interact with each other, they interact with their ego-dominated mindset, which is focused on differences and discrimination. How am I different than others? Whereas our mandate is to unite humanity based on our shared values of love, compassion, care, and justice for everyone. Because at the heart of everything, we are the same. We are one. We came from the same source. We're going to the same source. We are connected. So that is the second mandate. The third mandate is that whenever people interact with each other, they interact at a very superficial level, right? They talk about weather, they talk about something external to them, right? Whereas we believe that the only possibility of us as humanity entering into deeper, meaningful relationship is when we either commit acts of kindness or we ask for help from each other. And that's all what we are doing. So we are shattering discrimination in all its forms by running empowerment programs for the marginalized segment. So at the heart of everything is these two concepts, generosity and unity consciousness.
Interesting. I want to touch really fascinating, and I want to touch on this concept of asking for help, because a lot of the audience were so used to doing everything, and so used to giving, and that leads to like burnout and fatigue, especially in health workers. A lot of times, you ask for help or self-care, take care of yourself first. One thing that I really and again, I love, because I love this area of spirituality and energy and dynamics. What it sounded like was these ideas of action trigger acts of karma. So how do your action and non-action triggers karma, which is like you get 10x. Usually it's like 10x what you put out. So if you put out really good stuff, you'll get 10x return. If you put out bad stuff or you do bad stuff, it comes back to you 10 plus fold. But how do you, because you talk about free will, but sometimes there's the universe and there's destiny. And how do you determine whether this law of manifestation is an act of karma or an act of dharma? Sometimes you can't manifest it. Is it because of like the divine universe, or is it the timing, or is it just action? Talk about how you can determine that.
Yes, and it's so lovely. It's so beautiful the way you have connected both the concepts together in your question. And that's so beautiful. So I'll talk about the generosity piece first, and then I'll connect it to the act of manifestation of your deepest desire and how we can do that.
Yeah.
So the at the very heart of the generosity is the universal law of circulation. So everything in the universe is always in circulation, right? Be it in terms of the death of the leaves during the winters and then them coming alive. Everything is in circulation. Even if you look at our bones, our veins, right? The blood is in circulation. And it's because of the circulation of blood that the nutrients and the oxygen is delivered to each and every cell of your body. So circulation of blood is the key in every possible way, right? What happens when there's a blood clot? When there's a blood clot, it is not only dangerous, it can be life-threatening to the body, right? But what the blood clot is doing, it's blocking that circulation, which is the universal natural law, right? That is the same concept when you talk about generosity. And when you talk about generosity, whether it is giving or whether it's receiving, it's the same concept. What you're doing by giving or asking for help, you are clearing the blood clot. If you are withholding anything or holding anything or giving with judgments or with ego mindsets or with as a trade, looking for recognition, or if you're not asking for help because of the societal constructs, the norms of the society, because somehow the norms of the society have connected generosity with giving only and asking for help as shame and hesitation. And that is especially troublesome for high achievers or for caregivers, because somehow it's not just, it's problem for men because somehow asking for help is attached with weakness. And it's problematic for females because they are caregivers, or even in the caregiving industries. They cannot, since they are caregivers, they cannot ask for help. Since they are high achievers, they cannot ask for help because as per societal norms, if they ask for help, they'll be considered weak or dependent, or there's a shame and hesitation. Whereas from the perspective of the universe, it does not differentiate. Whether you're asking for help or whether you're giving your help, both are acts of generosity. Both are basically meant to clear the blood clot so that there is a free-flowing circulation of resources and support in the universe. And in terms of connecting it to the manifestation discussion that we were talking about, the first law is that everything at the core is energy, right? So whenever you are giving, for instance, whenever you're giving, you are creating that energy block, your gap in energy. And the universe has to come in to replenish it. And what happens is that whenever you're giving or whenever you're asking for help, you are given abundance, regardless of whether you are, and consider that as a mean of an electric circuit, right? When the electric circuit is completed, it does not matter whether you are in the positive or you're in the negative. The light lit up, right? So the abundance is given to each and every aspect, whether you are in the giving end or whether you are receiving end. And it's because of this that generosity is such a crucial part of ourselves to connect with our higher intelligence. So if we want to live in the world of abundance, of limitless possibilities, of collaborations, of meaningful connection, we have to clear the channel. And the clear the channel is where generosity comes in.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Make
Because
sense?
yeah, it makes sense. And when I listen to your words, it really, because I listen to a lot, I study Deepak Chopra a lot. And what's interesting is he's a medical doctor as well. And he was describing this instance where it was his fellowship and his director was just a big jerk. And he basically, Deepak, he put his foot down. He's, I'm not going to tolerate this. And he's gone on to do even greater things as a spiritual teacher than as a medical doctor. So this, my question, another question is, for example, when we talk about unity consciousness, and I use America as the example, is because we're just so divided and there's just so much polarization and just so much hatred and love. It's because of just the government and the media. But so for example, when you talk about not being a victim, but for example, when you grew up in oppressive regimes, or you grew up in countries where women are oppressed, or even, for example, Hitler or just Germany during the World War II, like you cannot change those. So how do you avoid becoming a victim when like your circumstances are just so against you? Like you obviously you can't fight the government. So how do you deal with that?
So again, you're so amazing in terms of constructing a question which has so many questions in itself. And it's so beautiful. So I'll talk about the concept of the humanity being divided first.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to the question of that if you have had a lived experience of being in any of the marginalized segment, how can you construct or how can you manifest your desires when you have come from background, right?
Yeah.
So these are two questions that you asked. So the first question, in terms of the humanity being divided, the reason why humanity is divided is because we as human approach everything through our ego construct, right? And ego is a human construct, right? It's not a divine construct. Whenever ego looks at anything, it defines the concept of I am in terms of I am what I have, which means my possessions are defining me. I am what I do, which means my title, my designation, my accomplishments are defining me. I am what people think of me, which means that people's views and perceptions are defining me. So I always need to look for people's approval, people's rejection, or be afraid of people's rejection. The fourth is that I am distinct and separate and disconnected from everyone else in my body, which means that I'm alone in my body. I have to focus in the background, where I'm coming from, what my background is. So if I am a man, I would look down upon a woman because I am a man. If I am from a first world country, I would look down the other country, or based on the background, I would judge, I would exclude. So all of these are ego construct. What is the reality? The reality is that at the heart of everything, we are nothing but energy, right? So there's a Newtonian physics and there is an Einstein physics. Newtonian physics talks about whatever you can see is all there is. So you can see solid, you can see liquids, you can see gases. So you can see whatever is whatever there is. Whereas Einstein physics is all about quantum physics. It's all about energy. And it's the same energy in you and same energy in me. We're just having a different disguises. It's just our dresses that are different. But the root of everything is the same. So the best way of us as humanity to be connected and to be united is to focus on what is same among us. It's the shared values of love, care, compassion, and justice. And to understand that if you are successful, I am successful. If we are successful in our individual capacity, that is only possible when we are successful as a humanity in a collective manner, because everything is connected. Your success is connected to mine. So at any point of time, I would not be involved in a rat race. I would not compete. I would not go into judgments but I would go into and live in a world where it is unlimitless possibilities for everyone. There's so much for everyone and more. There's no scarcity of mindset there. So that is the concept of why humanity is divided. The other question was how we can. I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Basically, for example, if you look at, for example, in countries with oppressive regimes, or just especially like here in America, like during the era of segregation or slavery, or like in
Yes.
Germany, you obviously have to, you can't fight
Yes,
government. So
exactly. So I was listening to, and in one of his speeches, he was describing the situation of a person looking down from a boat, right? And you're looking at you're standing on the boat at the backside, and you're looking at the waves and the thrust of the water that's going on the backside. Whereas the boat is being driven in the opposite direction, right? So whatever the person is looking at, that is the past, right? Is the past driving the boat? No, it's the engine, right? It's the present moment engine. The past is not driving the boat. The wake is not driving the boat. It's the engine, the present movement energy that is driving the boat in whatever direction, right? And I'll highlight that from my own personal example, right? My own personal example is a story of, I'll take you back 25 years. So 25 years back, I was senior vice president, second largest bank in my home country, really up there in my career progression. One of only 4 women in a room full of over 30 men as senior executives at that point of time. And from the outside of the world, I was really successful female executive, happily married with 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, strongly connected to them. But that was on the outside of it. On the backside of it, I was going through a 13-year-long abusive marriage. I entered into the judicial system in order to seek divorce, and that was a 3-year-long legal battle. So I was alone. I was devastated. When he applied for the custody of the children after I got the divorce, I didn't have any strength left in me to fight another court case battle. I went to the court and I handed over the custody of my children with my own hands. And I entered into complete dark and utter darkness of breakdown. I left the country as a rebel, and rebel in all its forms, rebel against the system, rebel against the norms, the traditions, the religion, the fellow countrymen and women. And that rebelliousness continued for 5 years. I was in the utter darkness in terms of rebelliousness, that height of hatred and animosity against everything and everyone related to that particular country. And then one fine day, I started reading my holy book. And that's when I realized, and that was when I started in an upward journey of enlightenment. I used to research and study like crazy, Christopher. I used to complete 3 books in 1 week. I entered into that research and study phase. And what I realized was that what everyone is following, not just my country, what everyone in the world is following is just hearsay. This is not what the divine is saying. Divine is saying only 2 things. The first is that whatever we are given, be it in terms of our wealth or money or resources, even our bodies, we are not given as owners. We are given as trustees and caretakers. This is to be spent for the benefit of others. So the concept of generosity is at the heart of it. The second is that everyone tend to discriminate and judge and exclude in the name of the divine. But this is not what divine is. Divine is the same for everyone. It's the same source in you, the same source in me. We came from the same source. We're going to the same source. So the concept is to unite based on our shared values of love, compassion, care, and justice for everyone. These are the two key principles that I found during my breakthrough years. I kept on fighting for the custody of my children, sitting here in Canada, fighting the court case battle in Pakistani courts. Got them reunited with me after 8 years. My eldest is now 27-year-old. My younger one is 25. My son is 22. I've got a lovely daughter, bonus daughter from my current marriage, a 24-year-old girl, and a baby child of the family, a 7-year-old girl. But what I learned from all of that, I found my life purpose. I didn't focus on the wake. I didn't focus on the past. I changed my future reality. So fast forward all, for almost over a decade, 2 decades, oh my God, for almost 2 decades, I have set up and scaled up a for-profit business from scratch, an insurance brokerage business, handed it over to my husband. He's now running it. Then I started up and set it up the charity from scratch. I'm running a charity. Obviously, it's a baby charity and the coaching business. So all of that is all finding my life purpose. And my life purpose is nothing but unity consciousness, nothing, empowering individuals, strengthening families, connecting communities, and uniting humanity. That's all I'm doing.
Fascinating. How can people find out more about you? And because I know you're check out your nonprofit and check out your work and reach out to you.
Yes, so they can meet me at the volunteer web platform, so volunteer-well.org. And there you can find Meet the Founder. That is, you can find all about me there. And in that page, you would also find all my social media links as well. And you can connect with me through that page as well.
Yeah, excellent. I really enjoyed this conversation and I love your passion and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much. I love being here and I love your questions. Seriously, they're so beautifully asked. Thank you. Thank you.